You are now live on
Um,
the recording.
all right. So, hello everyone in the future who is watching this recording. Today we are going to be making some cargo on this beautiful brand new wiki that is not quite brand new, but it has very few things on it so far. I'll go over that in a sec. So, we're going to make cargo for this wonderful game where you can harvest some oranges and then you can craft some orange juice. So
Oh,
I
so that's what they are.
what? What the fuck? Yes, there. How can you hover and it says orange? Oh my goodness.
I
Okay.
never thought to use the hover tooltip. I'm sorry. I thought they
Okay.
were
Actually,
like
Jared, would you
tomatoes.
mind? Would you mind muting so I can just go through my prepared thing?
Okay.
Um. Okay. Thanks. Okay. Yeah. So no, these are oranges, and then I have this League of Legends Easter egg where I wrote the word K on the orange juice because you eat an orange and then it's okay. Anyway, so yeah, we can harvest these ingredients and then we can craft them. And there's also these categories of items. So every ingredient has it has its image and then it has its name, which you can see in a hover tooltip. And it has a weight, so if I harvest more oranges, you can see the weight going up. And then it also has an element assigned to it. So this is a very contrived example. I wanted to, oh, and it has a recipe, right? That's the most important thing. So orange juice is 5 oranges. And sometimes when you craft something, your weight goes down because some of the liquid is evaporating or some magical thing is happening and not because I picked random numbers. Um, so this is a very contrived example. It's actually kind of fun to play the game. I have spent some time clicking these little harvest and craft buttons, and it's extremely gratifying. So you can play it if you want to, but mostly it's a demonstration of how does crafting work in a game. And this is the most basic example I could think of. I actually generated half of it with ChatGPT. I drew all of the artwork myself, which I know is a little bit backwards. Usually people generate their game and then they have AI do the art, but I did my own art. As you can tell, it's gorgeous. So I wanted to have ingredients combine into items. Um, in a more complicated example, you might have things that can be both base ingredients and also crafted, like a mystic feather can be found or it can be made from a feather plus magic. So I did not have that complication. I also don't have any complication of multiple recipes per item. So the only way you can make sunshine elixir is with orange juice and a sunstone. I don't remember what everything is called. So it's pretty much as simple as I could possibly make it and still have a crafting setup. So when we do the cargo, we're going to do 2 tables. One of them is going to be items, and that's going to have the name of the item. It's going to have its weight. It's going to have its element, which category it shows up here. And I think that's all it's going to have. The image will be uploaded at a deterministic place based on the item name because that's how we do things. And so there will be no need to store an image variable separate from the item name. And we're also not going to use the page name field for the name. We're going to make an actual name field. And then the second table is going to be recipes. We're going to have 1 row per ingredient per recipe. So I'll go over that in a bit later in a bit more detail. And if you have any questions, by the way, I do have the chat open on another screen, so I can see it. You might have to spam a couple times if I'm not seeing it, but if you spam enough, I should see the chat moving out of the corner of my eye. Okay, so this is the wiki that we're going to be editing. I'll post it in chat because this is a live wiki. I think technically it's not edit protected right now, but please don't edit it right now. Let me just do my thing and sometime in the future we'll edit it protected. So there's a couple pages here already. There's I got rid of the sample MediaWiki preload here. I edited the sidebar to put cargo tables here. So let's So yeah, I added this for cargo tables. Go ahead and do that on your wikis if you want to. There is no reason to not put useful things in the sidebar when it's in development. Maybe you don't want to leave it there once your wiki releases, but while you're working on your wiki, put useful things in the sidebar, anything you want. So a couple of things about navigation. As I said, I have a lot of bookmarks that are keyworded, which are going to help me go places fast. So like if I press Sorc CT, I go to cargo tables. Sorc SAP 10 is going to take me to all pages in the template namespace. If you don't have that memorized, I can say Sorc SAP file, and then I go to like all pages in the file namespace. So a lot of this is like super black magic. My bookmarks are available on my GitHub and let's see, MISC book. You can have them. Here they are. All of them are here. So each one of these is like a %s substitution based on like where I want to go, and then I have some down here for the entire WikiGG wiki farm. So it's not like totally magic. The other thing is that I use mouse gestures. So if I'm like going between tabs, I'm just going to draw a green arrow and then I'm going to go between tabs that way. This is like what? I love mouse gestures so much. Oh my god. I also have a blog post about my mouse gestures. So yeah, it's like literally the best thing ever. So I'm going to link to, well, Jared, when he uploads the video, is going to link to my bookmarks hotkeys and let's see, mouse gesture, the useful one. There you go. So yeah, and bookmarklets like this are Firefox only. So we're gonna be fans of Firefox here. Yay, Firefox. Okay, so I'm going to start now. So let's see, GitHub, Sorcerer. I'm just gonna have this open because I really want to cheat and use the okay, so I'm cheating. I have JSON data of my entire game right here. I am going to be using this to make my wiki. So okay, so let's start making the wiki. I'm going to Windows, right? I don't use like a screen manager, so this is going to take me a sec to. Okay, there we go. So we're going to make a template. We're going to call it item info box. There's a lot of different conventions for naming info boxes, and I use a different one pretty much every single time I make a wiki. So this time we're going with the name of the entity followed by lowercase of the info box. And let's see. So I'm going to go to support. I want like example Druid info box 1 because it's not like I remember any of the syntax. So I'm just going to copy this here. And again, this is like, go ahead, copy code. Everything I'm doing is like things that I encourage you to do when you're making a wiki. It's not cheating to copy code from somewhere else. So this kind of is going to be item. And then I'll go ahead and leave the image alone. The sections, let's just make general info for now. Or let's just call it information. And then we're going to say that the information... so what do we say we have? We have a... So the name is going to be the title, so that doesn't have to go in the section. We're going to want to have a weight and an element and a recipe. And that should be our entire Druid info box. Okay. So let us, I didn't make a template called documentation. Fantastic. We're not going to have any documentation here. We don't do documentation on this wiki. But I will add category info boxes here. And I will put this into category templates. I love when I make the same decisions twice in a row. And then we'll put this in category sorcerer, and then Okay, so a bunch of categories exist. I press Alt-Shift-R to go to recent changes, and this is how I do a lot of my navigation. So let's make an example page. So we're going to start off with orange. Again, I'm using bookmarklet hotkeys here. So we're going to put the template, and then I don't remember what I called anything, so we're going to go back here. I think, what is it? Is it title? I think it's title. I'm going to make the title be the page name because I don't anticipate needing any disambiguation here. So we're going to have the weight equals 5. The element, I don't know what the element is. The element is, wait, I love how I don't like actually focus a button, so I have no idea what I'm focused here. Okay, so the element is going to be earth. And the recipe, I'm going to do a placeholder recipe right now just to make sure the field is working. We're going to use like a bespoke template for creating the recipe in a bit, but for now I'm just going to write, there is no recipe, just kidding. Haha, there is no recipe. So let's preview this and see if it worked. Okay, looks like it's working. The one thing is that I'm going to have to add a file. So let's do image. Yeah, okay, so so what I'm doing here is if the image is specified, it's going to be the image. Otherwise, I'm going to assume that it's called the same thing as the page name. And hold on a second.
Hey, River. River.
Hi.
Yeah, I just want to chip in. Someone was asking if you could increase the font size. They're having difficulty reading it.
Okay. I'm gonna struggle. I'm going to struggle. I might have to decrease this again because I am very used to things being a very specific way. I didn't want that. I wanted orange. So we'll see. But I will try and have it be this size. Okay, so this is actually going to be the lowercase of the page name because that's how my files are named locally. There's normally I would probably not want to have this lowercase here just because it slightly complicates. But I'm the game dev, and when I made these files, I made them all lowercase, so they're all going to be lowercase. Okay, so let's preview this again. Now that we've uploaded the page, and what did I do wrong here? Okay, I have an if statement here. I want this, and I'm always gonna display it. So I'm doing like a very unsafe thing here where I'm just assuming that there's an image uploaded, but I'm making this wiki and there will be, so I'm gonna be a little bit unsafe. So, okay, let's get rid of this because there is actually a recipe. Normally at this point I would make a char insert for my new template, and it would just like look like this. But I am not going to make you sit through me copying all of the char insert infrastructure over. We can do another stream about that at another time if people are interested. So I'm just going to put some copyable code here. And again, I am not making a documentation template right now either. I'm just going to let's not have that. Okay, so there's some copyable code here, and then every time I make a new page, I could use this. However, I'm probably going to make all of my pages by regular expression, so I might actually not use that at all. Oh my god, I just cleared that, didn't I? Okay, so the weight is 5. The element is, what did we say, water? Earth. The element is earth. And there is no recipe. Okay, so we have one page, and then I also want to make one other page, which is going to be an example of a crafted item. So I'm going to make orange juice. And this is going to be here, and the weight, I don't know what the weight is. Orange juice. Oh, the weight is 10. Okay. It sounds reasonable. And what's the element? Oops. The element is water. Oh, of course it is. Element is water. And then the recipe, let's start making that template now. So we're going to say is item recipe. What do I want to call this? I'm going to call it recipe part. Yeah, okay, because normally I would call it like recipe item, but like item recipe item recipe that's not so great. So we'll call it part. And we're gonna say that the item is orange and the quantity is 5. And I've played my game enough that I do remember that. Yes, and of course I haven't uploaded this yet, so let's upload a file. Browse orange juice. I didn't install the multi-upload gadget. I probably should have done that, but I didn't. So I'll have to upload these one at a time. I also should be adding some licensing to these files, but that's not the point of this video. Okay, so I need to make template recipe part now. So we're going to do that. And eventually we will be storing cargo in this template, but for now I'm just going to display something. So, okay, so first of all, I'm going to be making an unordered list of all of these recipes, and that means that in each part I need to make a list item. So include only, and then we're going to do li, and then we're going to put stuff here. So let's just put item quantity. It might be nice to like add an icon to this or something, but I just want like a very simple thing here. So we made an li here, but we need to actually wrap that li in a ul here. Ul being unordered list, so like a bulleted list. So we're going to do that by saying that recipe is ul recipe. Like this, wrapping it in an unordered list, and that would work, except recipe is an optional argument, so we have to say if recipe is defined, then we want this, otherwise we want nothing, and I'll go ahead and end if here. That looks probably correct. Okay, great. So there's one item in this unordered list, it's an orange, and we're making 5 of them. Probably later on I would actually like make this its own heading, and then I would do like wide cells here, and let's just do that. Okay, so the section is going to be information and recipe, and then we're gonna and then we're going to say that recipe equals recipe, and recipe no label equals yes. So, what do I want to say in recipe? Alright, that's a little bit. Let's just make sure it's right before okay. So what did we just do? Okay, so I really want all of my arguments here to be uppercase, which means that I want my parameter for the recipe to be capital R recipe. So that means that we need to make a new section, and I'm gonna make this a little bit clearer. So our recipe section is going to because we can't have a conflict of strings, so we can't both call this recipe and then also call the field recipe. So I'm going to call the section recipe section, and then the display of recipe section is going to be the word recipe. So this doesn't affect the execution of the code at all. This just affects the display. So I could say like recipe kittens just to demonstrate quickly. And then the one field that we're going to have in recipe section is capital R recipe, and then that capital R recipe is not going to have a label. So I'm just going to get rid of this for a sec to kind of explain a little bit better what's going on. So if I don't have that no label, then you can see the word recipe from the field recipe is here. This is recipe kittens, which is the label of the recipe section. And then I'm just going to go ahead and undo that now so it works again. Okay, so we have this unordered list here, and then if I was like really trying right now, I would probably change the styling on this a little bit because, this kind of doesn't look so great. But this is a focus on cargo, so we're just going to say, what did I do? I need to purge this. I might need to purge this. Okay, and this purge cache comes from cargo, so if you don't have cargo installed and you're doing cargo, then you'll get the purge cache button once cargo is installed. Otherwise, you can use the purge gadget from the support wiki. And super confusingly, they display different text. One of them says purge and cargo says purge cache, but same thing. Okay, so I think we are ready to make some cargo. Does anyone have any questions before I start our first cargo table? Null edit and purge actually do different things. So null edit will update the stored cargo data that is propagated to other pages, and purge cache forces the wiki to re-render the HTML with like the new state of the entire wiki taken into account. So when I first made this page, I didn't have the file uploaded, so it was like, oh, there's no file uploaded, let me put a red link. Then I uploaded the file, and then I blank edited the page, and because I only blank edited the page and I didn't actually make a change, it didn't bother re-rendering the HTML with like the entire rest of the context of the wiki, i.e. the file existing being taken into account. So purges the cache of that HTML rendered for that one wiki page and makes it regenerate if you've changed something else on the wiki. So typically, a blank edit is going to refresh the stored data, and a purge is going to refresh the displayed data. So they do different things. And the best way to make sure is to do like $debug equals true. And if you want to force the change to the wiki, then you can I can be like, oh, look, there's this wonderful comment here that is totally legitimate change. And then it actually forces a cache update. Forces an everything update if you just add a comment at the end. Okay, so no one has asked any questions yet, so I'm going to assume that everyone understands everything. Hooray! Okay, so we're going to now make a cargo table. So there's a couple ways you can go about this. Normally, I do not like declaring cargo tables at the same location that I'm storing them from. I think that's like a huge violation of separation of concerns, and I just want the cargo table to be in its own place. So I'm going to do one template where I'm going to do the cargo declaration in its own place, and I'm going to do one where I do the cargo declaration inside the template so that I demonstrate both things. So we're going to, let's first do a separate cargo declaration template, because I think that's a little bit easier to understand. So we're going to make a template items/cargo declare. So this template is never going to be used anywhere on the wiki. All we're doing here is making this be like a information for a cargo page. So here we're going to define the table called, or we're going to declare the table called items, and that's it. So we don't need to worry about like include only or no include or anything, because this template is never going to be transcluded. So I'm going to write cargo declare table equals items. You have to remember this underscore before table. That's just a thing. You need to just remember that. So we're going to have a name, and we're going to have a weight, and we're going to have an element. And the name is going to be a string, the weight is going to be an integer, and the element is going to be a string. And that's all we need, because if the images were named like random things, we'd probably also want to have like an image equals text, or image equals string, or image equals file. Don't use file. It's a built-in type that kind of sucks. But we don't need to do that, because anytime we have the name, we can do like lowercase name and lowercase .png, and it'll be happy. So, and then I'll add a category here. Cargo declaration template. Okay, so let's add category templates here. And we're done. Okay, so we have made the table items, and this table has not been created yet. So we're going to go to more, and then we're going to say create data table. Okay, so when you see that the table hasn't been created yet, the create data table action will be right here. And we're going to create cargo data for this table. Okay, so the data is being recreated. So let's view the table, and there's nothing here. So why is there nothing here? Well, okay, first of all, there's nothing here because repopulating a cargo table takes a while. But the other reason that nothing is here is that cargo knows about the template item / cargo declare. But remember what I said, this table, this template is not used anywhere on the wiki. Like, this template is nothing. The template is for cargo, but it's none of our content knows about this template, which means that in exchange, cargo cannot discover all of our content based on what is using this template. So we're going to have to write a little thing here called inside of the no include. Okay, so this is inside the no include. And I'm adding a lot of blank lines because we're inside the no include, so that's safe. And I'm going to add a cargo attach table equals items. Okay, and then now when I go here and I refresh the page, it knows about the item info box. So the bold is where it's declared, and the normal type is where it's attached. So if I recreate the data, I'm going to try. It's probably still not going to find it just because I'm not waiting that long. Yeah, okay. So let's just go ahead and save this page, and then let's save orange also. So these blank, what did I do wrong? Oh, I didn't make a cargo store. Okay, so I made the declare and I never made a store. All right, so we're gonna start a cargo and pretend that I already did this. Okay, so the table is items, and then we're gonna say that blank lines are okay because we're inside a parser function. We're gonna say that name equals page name. Over here we said that the title is the page name. So if we had support for like a name, then we could say like or name page name, right? And then this would be wrong because we would want to have like this here. Whoops, and this should be in like both places, and then we can do like var define echo name, and then we can be like var name. We don't need all of that. This is just the page name. Okay. The weight is going to be the weight. Page name is a magic word that always exists on every single page. It does not need a pipe after it. All of these parameters, some of them are mandatory. We should always have them, but just put the pipe here. Make it an optional parameter. Make it so that if it's not defined, you get an empty string here. Don't assume anything is mandatory. There will always be a special case. Element. Okay, I think that's everything. All right, so let's page values. Okay, great. So the items now has this row, and the name is orange, the weight is 5, the element is earth. In a future cargo update, in this page values button is going to say cargo data. But I don't know, whenever 1.41 happens, probably that will happen. And if you are watching this video and not part of WikiGG, if you grab the most recent version of cargo, it now says cargo data instead of page values. Page values, like, what is that? What's the difference between page values and page information? So it's a little clearer now. So orange, and then orange juice, and I'm just gonna go ahead and blank edit this one also. And then voila. So we have some cargo data. So what does this mean? Like, we're not sending our users to this page to like, oh, hey, we have this really cool feature. If you go to like special : cargo tables and then the name of the entity, and oh yeah, cargo is this extension that like lets us do databasing. No, you don't have to know what SQL is. You just like go to the page and look at, like, this is not the most user-friendly thing. We don't want to be sending users here. We really want to be making like a nice, happy user-facing page that has the results of this query, and we want to show them something nice. So there's some wikis like to put cargo queries at category pages. I guess let's see, I can put category items here, and then we can like purge cache here. And then we can be like, oh, it's items, and then we can be like categories, sorcerer here, and then we could be like, okay, so I didn't blank edit that. Let me. Oh, I have no pages open. Okay. Let's see. Orange. I'm like also missing my JavaScript because normally I like have an extra button over here that's like edit the page with a link to edit the page that I add via JavaScript. But I don't have that on this wiki right now. So I have to press Alt Shift E. Okay, so there should be in the category. Yeah, so the category. Wait, didn't I make this already? Didn't I literally just create this? Category items. Oh, this is items, the page. Okay. Yeah, so at category items, now we have like 2 items are here. So we could make this like semi-user facing. Like we can link this category from the front page and then we can put some cargo at the top of it. I prefer not to do that generally. I don't love this display. I think it's like a little uninspired, I guess. And I'm going to make a cargo query anyway, so I might as well just put it at items. It's kind of up to you. It's kind of up to your personal preference. Like, some people really like category pages and want these to be super user-facing, and that's, like, fine. So I am not going to... I'm not going to use the category right now. I'm going to make a cargo query here. So cargo query... So this is the thing that you write when you start a cargo query, and then it's a little confusing, and actually I'm planning to send a patch to cargo to like sort of address this in the future. The underscore, you have to put an underscore, so it's like table when you are storing it or declaring it, and the reason for that underscore is so that you can have a field that's like literally called table. So like table equals string is like, this is a valid thing that you could declare if you wanted to. So cargo like puts an underscore here for its own internal built-in parameter, but in cargo query you would never need to give a parameter that's the name of one of your fields. So because you don't have to like disambiguate the table built-in key versus some random field called table, in cargo query you don't put an underscore here. I think that's like extremely difficult to remember, and I've been meaning to open a patch where like this becomes valid so that you can write an underscore here if you want, but that's not live yet. So that's just like the reasoning for why sometimes it has an underscore and sometimes it doesn't. If there's a possibility for ambiguity with a field name called table, then you need to put an underscore there. And if there's not, then you don't put an underscore. And in cargo query, both table and tables are valid. So when I patch that, I'm going to make like tables, underscore table, all 4 of those valid. But that'll be like in a future version. Anyway, so table, we want to query the items table. And then we're going to want to say, let's show the name and the weight and the element. Remember, recipe is not part of the items table. We're going to be addressing that shortly, but right now there's no recipe. And I know I still haven't like explained why recipe isn't here, but I'm going to like talk a lot about that relatively soon. And I think that's just enough that we gotta... Yeah, okay. So very simple query here. That's our data. Oh my gosh, it looks exactly the same as this. I like the same. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I want to make it like a little nicer. So, you know, like the name could link to the page. So we're gonna do like concat. All right, and then let's say equals name. So we now have a link to the page here. So what am I doing? In SQL, you have this keyword called concat, which allows you to put a list of things together. So like I could say like concat, these are a few of my favorite items, equals const for constant. And so if I like write this literal string inside of quotes, it puts it into this const field here. So, and you can like write anything you want. You could put like the number 3 here if you wanted to. So this constant thing is 3. So you can also concatenate, like if I wanted to say like weight and element, not a const anymore. So now this one field has like 10 water, 5 earth. And if I wanted to put a space in between the two, I could be like this. So this concat function is like extremely powerful because you can put unprocessed wiki text into it, and then when the table is being generated, it will process the wiki text in the future. So right now I'm giving it like the literal text, open bracket, and then the variable name, like the variable name, comma, name, the name of the variable name, and then 2 closing brackets. So this is gonna create like orange juice when it renders, and then it's gonna create like orange when it renders out later too. And I don't think I want to like go into like the total ways that you can abuse this yet, but if we have time later, I'll talk a little bit more about concat and some of the magic you can do with it. So let's also make a file here. And then I want to have, you know what, I have to. Okay, so all right, I need to make a template real quick. So one sec, I just need to make a couple things, and I'll explain what I'm doing. Okay, so this template that I just made, if you're using the default loadout, this is part of the default loadout. I didn't load the default loadout onto this wiki, so I needed to make it right now, and then I also need to make. I should be categorizing this and making documentation and stuff, but okay, so we're gonna okay, so let me just okay, so let's write this. So what did I just do? This is, I'm gonna zoom in for just a second because I really want you to be able to see this. So it's like super big now. So this is open bracket, parenthesis, close bracket. So like, what the hell is this doing? So this is the curly brace syntax. Like this is the calling a template syntax. So we are transcluding a template called open parenthesis, right? Parentheses are not special characters in MediaWiki. You're totally allowed to put parentheses at template pages or like in template names. So we use this name of parenthesis because it like visually looks a little bit like open bracket. But if you don't like this, like you could rename that template. I hate that the zoom happens like together. Okay, let's just oh my god, I hate this so much. Okay, so I'm just gonna make template 2 open braces, and then I'm gonna redirect it. Okay, and you can totally do this on your wiki. Like this is completely legal. If I want to say like 2 open braces, this is capital. Okay, so this is valid. If you feel more comfortable seeing alphanumeric characters that are saying something, go ahead and do it. It's like a little bit standard to use this like this syntax, but you can do whatever you want. So I'm gonna write kittens, and then I'm gonna write the closed one is like the same but with a closed thing. So what did I just do? Oh my god, this is like plain text that should be calling a template. Why is it not trying, like, why are these two things different? Right? Like over here, it's red linking the template kittens, and over here, it's like displaying the text that I wrote here. So what is going on? So the answer is that it's happening at different stages of the parser, right? Okay, so when we write this kittens phrase here, the open braces are there immediately when we send the data to the parser. And when we write it this way, the open braces are added to the page later on, and it's after substitution has happened. So it's not going to like display these braces and then look back on itself and be like, oh my god, I just made the syntax to declare a template or to transclude a template. Let me go ahead and transclude that. It doesn't look backwards like that. So you can use these to escape wiki text and not have it evaluate immediately. So these two things are very different from each other in an important way. And I don't want this open anymore. I want to look here. Okay, so I said I wasn't gonna like do this whole thing about concat yet, but then I realized I needed lowercase to show I need like the LC parser function. So we're gonna like put LC here, and then we're gonna be like name, and then we're gonna be like and then we're gonna be like 25 x 25 pixels, and then we're gonna be like this, and then we're gonna put a space here. Okay, so there's this lovely icon here. Oh my god, how did you do that? What is even going on? So let's take this whole string, because remember we're concatenating like a lot of things. So I'm going to take like just the first couple things that we're concatenating here, and then I'm going to display it on this page, and I'm going to show it. Okay, so it's kind of not super easy to read yet, but I'm gonna substitute in one of the names. So remember, name is like a variable that is going to substitute in the actual value of the variable every single line. So one of these values is going to be orange. So I'm just going to hard code in orange right now. And then it's in quotation marks because like it's a raw string that we're sending to cargo. So cargo is going to like strip the raw string, and then so this is what cargo is going to see. When it's trying to print the orange row, this is the literal text that we're sending to it. So now let's evaluate this little text. And I put a space at the start, so it's putting inside of a pre. Okay, so when you evaluate this little text, or this literal text, sorry, I said little a few times, but I meant literal every time. When you evaluate this literal text, you get a file here, and that's the file that we have over here. So we're escaping all of our wiki text logic right here, right? So we're using these, and remember, this can be like two open braces if you prefer that. I didn't make the closed one, so I'll leave that as is, but you can do it for both of them. So we have this like escaped lowercase parser function, and then we have the name that gets substituted in every single line, and then we have the closed braces for the LC, and then we have like .png, and then we have a file size here. So this is a little bit bullshit. I'm just gonna leave it at that. It's a little bit bullshit, but it works pretty effectively, and it can save you a lot of effort, because otherwise what you would have to do is make a format equals template cargo query. I'm not going to talk about format equal. I might talk about that later. We'll see. But this allows you to just like, because here we're like not telling it how to format any like individual row, right? We're just taking advantage of the built-in cargo table output that it gives us. So the only things that we have to format are like individual fields here. So it's a useful thing that you can take advantage of. If you didn't understand anything about like the whole concat thing, like that's fine. This is like pretty advanced stuff, honestly. So if you're watching this and you're like, oh my god, I'm totally new to cargo, what is she talking about? This option is fine too. So I'm just gonna save both options here so that you can see both of them. And this is still a useful thing. This is like some bonus extra stuff. I'm gonna do two intermediate versions. So I'm gonna do the thing here where I have like concat. All right. Risky saving without previewing. I actually want another blank line here. Okay. So what? We're two blank lines? Really? Okay, so these are like increasing in complexity as you go down the wiki. I'm not going to promise that if you're watching this anytime in the future, this page will still exist, but hopefully if you're watching this anytime in the future, this page will still exist. Because I might like redo this for another live presentation if there's interest. But hopefully I'll like get it to the same end state if I do that. So you can, this page should probably exist. We'll go with probably exist. Okay. So we now have a useful table for our users at items. And the next thing that we want to do, well, there's, depending on like if this were like IRL or a demo, the next thing that you would do would be different. Like if this is IRL, probably the next thing that you do is you create the rest of the item pages and then you launch your wiki, because hell yeah, you have useful stuff that people can now take advantage of. And you may want to like get your wiki to people as soon as possible. So creating all of the rest of the item pages would be the next step. But since this is a demo, I might not even bother creating all 15 item pages, or however many there are. I think it's 15. So I'm going to go ahead and next I'm going to do recipes. So if we remember, let's close the other tabs. So recipes, the orange does not have any recipe data. The orange juice does have some recipe data. And we put the recipe display inside of this recipe part template. So we're going to also store the cargo inside a recipe part. And here is where we get to the like kind of confusing thing about recipes, which was like the original motivation for this game was like not necessarily to introduce cargo, but to introduce how to do cargo for recipes specifically, because I think how to do cargo for recipes is one of the most difficult common tasks that video game wikis have. Like there's certainly more difficult things that some wikis do, but almost every single wiki for a video game is going to have item recipes, and it's conceptually a little bit different. Okay, so for this orange into orange juice, there's just one ingredient, right? Like the first couple just have one ingredient, and that's fine. That's simple. We could make a field called ingredient and a field called quantity, and then we could say 5 oranges, 3 crystal shards, 2 mystic feathers. And that would be a perfectly serviceable definition of the recipes for orange juice, crystal amulet, and mystic ink. But after that, it gets a little bit complicated, because over here you have 2 different ingredients that are needed to build sunshine elixir. So how can we say, all right, well, in orange juice, you need 5 oranges. In sunshine elixir, you need 1 sunstone, and you also need 1 orange juice. So there are many ingredients. 2 is many. Anything bigger than 1 is many when we talk about databases. So there are many ingredients over here for each one product, right? So 1, I don't remember what my items are called. 1 flameheart pendant from 2 sunstones and 1 crystal shard. So we need to, the problem is not that there's like 2 sunstones here. Like we can just say that there's like sunstone plus quantity 2, but the fact that there's 2 distinct ingredients going in here means that things are a little bit complicated. So how can we say in our item cargo that we also have this recipe? One option could be to literally just write that recipe equals recipe, right? Like we have this formatted list here. I mean, we could maybe like even copy this whole thing. I don't know. And we have this like formatted recipe, and we can just query the formatted recipe and everyone's super happy, right? Not quite. You know, maybe in one place you want to just display the recipe in a table the way we've been displaying it so far, but in another case, you want to say what is every single item that oranges builds into. If you have this like random string here, how are you going to extract the fact that oranges is a component of this recipe, right? We need to have the data a little bit better structured so that we're able to actually write a query where we can select stuff that has oranges in its list. So another thing that a lot of wikis do it this way is they'll be like recipe ingredient 1 equals orange, recipe ing 2 equals, let's do a real one. So orange juice and sunstone. And then like recipe quantity 1 equals 1 and recipe quantity 2 equals 2. A lot of wikis do this. I would say this is probably the most common solution to the recipes problem, is to make like, you know, somewhere between 2 and 15 different recipe fields and somewhere between 2 and 15 different quantity fields. And, you know, you can do that technically because you can write like recipe ingredient 1 equals orange, or recipe ingredient 2 equals orange, or recipe ingredient 3 equals orange, or recipe ingredient 4 equals orange, or recipe ingredient 5 equals orange, all the way up to 15. And you can even like generate your cargo queries by like writing a regular expression to convert the numbers 1 through 15 into the full text of this like huge giant OR statement. But, you know, then after there's like a recipe and a quantity, suddenly each recipe and quantity also comes with a crafting location, and it also comes with like a quality requirement. And suddenly you need like 60 different fields to represent the fact that each recipe has 4 different attributes. And this is not good. This is getting totally out of control, especially when you consider that the maximum number of columns you're allowed to have in a single table is about 60 to 65. And it's not going to work. You can't do it. So what are we going to do since we can't like have all of this quantity and ingredients written out? Cargo has this thing called a list type field. So we could be like ingredients equals orange juice, comma, sunstone, and then we could be like quantities equals 1, comma 1. This is slightly acceptable. If there were no quantities involved, this would actually be a pretty workable solution. The problem here comes with when you want to say like, tell me all of the recipes that require at least 3 oranges. So how are you going to pull the oranges from the ingredients list along with the 3 from the quantities list and make sure that you're getting like the third the third element in the ingredients list and the third element in the quantities list? And like if you say orange is an ingredient and the quantity is at least 3, well, maybe you get one that requires 5 mystic feathers and 1 orange, and it picked up that the quantity was at least 3 from the mystic feather line, and it picked up that the item was equal to oranges from the item line, but those are 2 different lines, and this is not giving us what we want, which is oranges being at least 3. So this problem of association between orange juice is the first thing here, sunstone is the second thing here, maybe mystic feather is the third thing here. This problem of association is not going to work when we use list type fields. So this isn't an option either. So what are we going to do? We're going to make a brand new table. And I'm going to, like I said before, you can define cargo tables either in, hold on. You can define cargo tables either in their own template, like we did for items, or you can define them in the no include part of a template that is going to store to it. So this time I'm doing the second option. So this is the recipe part table. So this is the same, or the recipe part template. So this is the same template that we're using to actually display the recipe parts inside of the info box. And here I'm going to say, so I have like table equals recipes here. And then I'm going to say that ingredient is a string and quantity is an integer. So what is going on here? Oh, I need product too. Okay, and product is a string. Okay, so the ingredient is going to be an item. So for example, we're going to have sunstone. The quantity is an integer, 1 sunstone. The product is a string, sunshine elixir. Okay, so what we're storing in this one instance of recipe part is just this single ingredient here. And then in our second recipe part instance, we're going to say that 1 orange juice, so quantity 1, ingredient orange juice, product is Sunshine Elixir. And in both cases, they have the same product, which is Sunshine Elixir. And so we're going to be able to associate these two individual rows of recipe part with, or of the recipes table, with the product. Okay. I'm going to show you this in a little bit. So if that didn't 100% make sense, I'm going to rephrase the same thing probably like 5 more times before we're done. So hopefully it'll eventually make sense, especially when you start to see it happening. This time I'm going to actually remember to do a cargo store here. So we're going to have a cargo store. Let's just put this on a new line because cool. So the table is recipes. Remember before that I said like the name of the item is just the page name here? So you need to make sure that you're actually getting the correct name. Like if we did like an if name then name else page name, we would have to like make sure that we were taking that into account here, and that can get a little bit complicated. But for now, we're just gonna say the name is the page name. So product is page name, and we're not going to have any disambiguation. The quantity is going to be quantity, and the ingredient is going to be item. Oops. So let's go ahead and save this. And I'm going to have to make a couple more pages after this. So on the orange juice page, we now are going to look at the page values, and we didn't store anything because I didn't declare the table. So I'm actually kind of glad I'm making these mistakes because then I'm showing you how to troubleshoot them. So the page values, and we now have this recipes here. Okay, so there is 1 ingredient of orange with a quantity of 5, and it's going to make orange juice, which is this page. So give me like 2 seconds now to make a couple other pages. I was gonna like write a regular expression to transform this into JSON data, but that's into templates to transform the JSON data into like media wiki text, but that's too much effort. So we're gonna go like Sork crystal amulet. And then we're gonna make this. Oh, I don't have my JavaScript. I can't press Alt-Shift-E here. Okay, let's go back to the template and let's copy paste this. Okay, so crystal amulet is gonna be, the weight is 6. The element is air. Oh, this just says 1 ingredient. Oh no. Okay. The recipe is recipe part item equals crystal shard, and the quantity is 3. And I'm gonna upload this file before I save the page. Okay. Crystal amulet. I'm just gonna upload a few files here. Crystal shard. What do I do when I get products with multiple recipes? That is a good question. I'm not going to demonstrate that here because it's a little bit complicated. But basically what you would want to do then is, instead of keying the recipe by the product, you need to key the recipe by both the product and the recipe's index in the list of recipes. Oops, I don't want to do that. So like right now we're saying that the product is hold on. So right now we're saying that the product is the unique identifier of this recipe, right? But if there's 2 different recipes for orange juice, then we're gonna say that like, okay, the product equals orange juice, and then the recipe ID equals orange juice _1. And then for the second recipe, maybe you can also make orange juice from 3 oranges. So you can, right, like we're playing some modularity game where we want to get to 0 oranges in our inventory. So we can either like put 3 of them together to make orange juice, or we can put 5 of them together to make orange juice. And then as long as you have over 15 oranges in your inventory, you can always get to exactly 0 oranges through some combination of 5 and 3 orange juice. So that's our game mechanic. So then we're going to have like the recipe ID for the 5 orange juice is going to be orange juice _1, and then the recipe ID for the 3 orange juice is going to be orange juice _2, right? So we just like in order increment the number of corresponding to the recipe. Make sure that they're all stored on one page so that you can actually do that through like a global variable and then retrieving the variable and incrementing it by one each time, etc., etc. And then now that it's keyed by its unique recipe ID, the recipe ID is then what's called the primary key of the recipes table. So from the recipe ID, you can uniquely determine a set of items and a product. And then anytime you're doing a query, you will group by the recipe ID. You'll do like a group concat to display everything, however you want to get the data. The recipe ID field is what's going to link the recipes together. So that slide aside was in response to a question in the chat just now. If you didn't totally follow it, well, if you're here right now and didn't follow it, then go ahead and ask a follow-up question. If you're watching this as a VOD and you didn't totally follow it, if you're here like specifically to learn about that, then reach out to me and ask me for more clarification on that. But otherwise, like I might do another video in the future handling that situation. But I think it's a little bit less common, and it's also like relatively significantly more complicated to actually implement. So I don't want to like do like a full demonstration of that at this time.
I am also recording the chat, so people who are watching the VOD can see what people have asked in the chat.
Oh, great. I did not know that was possible. Cool. Thank you. Okay, so I think I just uploaded everything. Let me just glance at my upload log here. Yeah, I have no idea. Okay, so I'm gonna make some pages and then just hope I uploaded everything that I need. Okay, so crystal amulet. So the crystal amulet is here, and let's go ahead and we're gonna need to have a page for crystal shard now. So let's make crystal shard. I need this text back. And while you're watching this, like, I'm hoping that like some of my fumbling around and navigating to find fields or to find like pages is a little bit helpful at least. Because I know that like just the mechanics of managing so many pages is a little bit much sometimes when you're dealing with a lot of data. And I know I'm cheating by having a 1440p monitor, and a lot of people are stuck on 1080p, and I have so much respect for you if you edit from a 1080p monitor. Like that is so hard. So we're gonna do Sunshine Elixir, and this is from Orange Juice and Sunstone. I can't believe I'm like actually remembering the mechanics of my stupid game. So recipe part. Oh, I can show you how to put multiple recipe parts because that's important. So ingredient. Oh wait, oh shit. What did I call it? I think I called it item and quantity. Item equals sunstone, and quantity equals 1. So if you want to put multiple recipe parts, you just let's put a new line here, and let's even be like super fancy and align it. Oh my god, we are so try hard. This is orange juice. Okay, yeah. So you literally just put them next to each other because each one is in its own li tag. And so what we've created here is like we've made so the ul comes from the parent template, and so then what we've put inside of the ul is like li here, and then these new lines don't actually exist. We were like very careful about that. So so this first li is this first line of the recipe part. The second one is from the second recipe part. You can totally just put them next to each other. You don't have to do, and I mean, you shouldn't do anything in between them because you're supposed to put them right next to each other. So this is like the HTML that we're generating there. The UL is coming from the item info box. The first LI is coming from the first recipe part, and the second LI is coming from the second recipe part. So yeah, that's cool. Okay, so I don't think I've made sunstone yet. I've sort of just been like making pages until I get a tree that's completed. So this is 3 and fire. And there's no recipe. Okay, so I think I can now query the recipe of sunshine elixir. Yeah, okay. So if we look at the page values here, um, this now has two separate ingredients. One of them is orange juice, and there's one piece of one quantity of orange juice, and then there's one quantity of sunstone here. Um, and then in both cases, the product is sunshine elixir. Again, remember there's exactly one recipe per item in this example. If there were two possible recipes for per item, then we would add a recipe ID field after this. And you know what? Okay, I'm gonna just go ahead and add a recipe ID field, and it's gonna be one. Like I'm just gonna hard code one here, but at least like then you can see it. So I want recipe parts. So I'm gonna add like recipe ID equals string, and then I'm gonna say the recipe ID equals page name, and then I'm literally gonna hard code the one here. So uh, if this weren't hard coded, we would need to find some way to correctly re-index this every single time we start a new recipe, and we would probably have some parent table called like recipe, and then recipe part would be a child template of recipe, and we would do the incrementing in each new instance of recipe instead of in each new instance of recipe part. Not going to worry about that too much right now. I just want to put this here so that we see something concrete. So I'm going to recreate the data. I'm not going to bother using replacement. There's like, when you're creating your wiki and it's in dev mode and no one's using it yet, there's virtually no reason to use a replacement table. What the replacement table does, I'll just create one to show you what it does right now. So this table is empty because the job queue hasn't repopulated any data yet. And while the job queue hasn't repopulated any data yet, we still have this old table with the 5 rows. Oh my god, I didn't put that inside of a no include. Recipe part. Wait, what? Oh, I left out. Oh my god. Okay. I hope someone caught that and was just like not telling me that I messed this up. Very important to put your cargo stores inside of an include only. So, make sure that you do that. Of course, this isn't going to update yet because this is read only while our replacement table is being repopulated. I'm just going to go ahead and switch this in now because the job queue is very slow about this. And unless you have a couple hours to wait, it's like much easier to just blanket everything. Whoops, Sork SAP. So I'm gonna go here. Oh, I kind of wanted that open. Oops, let's go here. Let's actually pin this tab open. Cool. Oh my god, I just closed that. Okay, so I'm just gonna crystal shard orange juice. Let's just blanket everything real quick. So right now I'm using hotkeys to switch between tabs, and then Alt-Shift-E and Alt-Shift-S to save pages. It lets you go through pretty quickly. If you had like 50 pages, I might use PyWikibot, but oops, this isn't okay. Cool. So now if I go to the recipes page, we have these things here. So, and then this is just our pretend recipe ID, which we don't really need to have right now. Bot Anthony says that you can hash the function with concat item name comma time. I do not love that because sometimes you want to have relatively static primary keys, and if you're using the time, then you will you're guaranteed to change your primary key every single time. And sometimes, so the thing about Cargo is that it's available through the MediaWiki API for anyone in your community to access, and sometimes people will mirror your entire database so that they can build their own applications. And usually when they do that, they want very constant primary keys. That was like the single most asked for thing in all of Leadpedia was like, can you please have static primary keys to guarantee like a unique key for every single piece of data on the wiki. And it's actually like pretty hard in general to guarantee static primary keys everywhere, because when you rebuild a table, it'll rebuild in a different order, and so like the built-in underscore ID field is going to change every single time. But you can do your best to have your own keys that you're creating. For anyone who like is familiar with SQL and just watching this to get an idea of how to do things in Cargo specifically, you cannot actually declare primary and foreign keys in Cargo. There's no support for that. So what you have to do is pretty much pretend. So you just the columns will be indexed. Every column except for text and wiki text is indexed. So all of your keys will be indexed. Just make sure that you don't use a text or wiki text type field for a key, and then you can join from your primary to foreign key for whatever tables you're using. But it's going to be by convention. You're not going to get the actual database constraints for primary keys, and you can't do any kind of like cascade on delete or anything like that. But you don't really need that with MediaWiki generally, because all of the rows that are related to a single entity will be on a single page, and that's actually kind of a really nice feature, is that you get this free cascade on update and delete from all of the data being stored on a single page. And the one transaction guarantee that you have is that when you save a page, all of its rows are going to get updated at the same time. So you can that's the reason that Bot Antony's thing would work in the first place, is that every time you save the page, it would update with a new time. But anyway, so none of that is like important unless you like really wanted to hear details about how SQL is working. So yeah, I would want to do an actual index here. And if your recipes are stored on different pages, then the page name is going to be a sufficient index. You don't need anything else here. Okay, so where was I? Okay, so we're going to make a query about Sunshine Elixir now. So on the Sunshine Elixir page, we have that it uses a sunstone and uses an orange juice. So we can go from Sunshine Elixir to what are its ingredients. But what if we're like on the orange juice page? What if we want to show all of the items that use orange juice? So this is going to be a template eventually, but excuse me, for now I'm just going to write, I'm going to hard code a query here. So I'm going to say cargo query tables equals table, whatever, it doesn't matter. Table equals recipes, and I'm going to say like where equals ingredient orange juice. I'm going to put page name here. The page name is orange juice. And then I'm going to say fields is the product and the quantity. All right, so if we make Sunshine Elixir, we need one orange juice. So I'm going to put a heading here. I'm going to say like builds into, because that's usually what wikis are going to call this section, is builds into. So it builds into Sunshine Elixir with a quantity of 1. But now here's the big difficult question that we have been waiting this entire time to answer. What if we don't want to just show the product and the quantity, but we also want to show the complete recipe needed to make each thing? Okay? So in this, I'm gonna hard code it in wiki text. Class equals wiki table. So we want to get product recipe. So we're going to say that we have Sunshine Elixir, and then we want this to say 1x sunstone and 1x orange juice. Okay, so this is what we want to create. I don't have wiki table. Oh, I spelled that wrong. Okay. So we want to generate this table here. Okay. So how can we get the entire recipe, including the sunstone part, when all we know is orange juice? Okay. So we need to go from orange juice to Sunshine Elixir to this whole thing. Okay, because orange juice itself doesn't know about sunstone, but orange juice does know about sunshine elixir. And remember, sunshine elixir knows about sunstone. Okay, so if we look at like our page values for orange juice, we're able to go. So we're in the recipes table. We're able to go from the ingredient is orange. Okay, and then sorry, we're caring about this. Okay, so in the items values, our name here is orange juice. Okay, so we're looking at orange juice, and then over here, the ingredient is orange juice. So we can go from the orange juice here to the orange juice here, and then we can go from the ingredient orange juice here to the product sunshine elixir here. And then from the product sunshine elixir here, we need to find this entire piece of information. Okay, and notice that again, the recipe ID and the product are always the same. If the recipe changed, then what we would want is not all of the sunshine elixir, but all of the sunshine elixir _1. Okay, so we are really what we're grouping by is recipe ID, and that happens to be the same as product because there's only one recipe ID per product. So let us do that. Okay, so the right now we're looking at the recipes table, and just because I want to force us to query into the items data also, I'm going to also show us. I'll get to the items table in a bit. Right now we're still just looking at the recipes table. So we want to pull orange juice here, and then we want to get sunshine elixir here, and then we want to get all of this. Okay. So we're gonna do like some kind of magic thing. Oops. Equals quantity. And we're gonna group by equals R2 dot product. You know what? Let's do a recipe. Let's group by the recipe ID just for funsies. And then we're gonna say group. Oh my god, I really hope group concat is actually enabled here. I think it should be. I'm pretty sure it's globally whitelisted. Group concat, and then we're gonna say for now I'm just gonna say R2 dot ingredient. Sick. All right, so this is not quite what we want. I didn't put the full thing here. And you know what? We don't actually want this quantity anymore. So I just like typed a lot because it's kind of difficult to type and talk at the same time. So I'm going to zoom in again, and then I'm gonna like talk about what I just typed. Okay, so if you've never seen this join on thing before, let's go back to what we want to do. We have this ingredient here, and so from the ingredient we can figure out this line. Okay, so figuring out all of this information from orange juice, that's R1. Okay, so R1 is what has orange juice here. Okay, and this is just sunshine elixir, but there could be like, maybe you have like super mega orange juice also. And maybe there's like a bunch of different pages that have orange juice here. So the R1 is, I'm gonna call this like recipes where orange juice is the ingredient. You think I'm kidding about this? I'm literally gonna use this name. I'm gonna put this onto, it's online. Okay. So recipes where orange juice is the ingredient is the first copy of recipes. Then the second copy is that once we have found sunshine elixir here, now we want to get every single row that has sunshine elixir as the product, or recipe ID. Sunshine elixir 1 is the recipe ID. Okay, so through recipes where orange juice is the ingredient, we found about recipes where orange juice is the ingredient, and now we're going to we're going to call this recipes using sunstone. So keep in mind, it's not always going to be sunstone, right? It's going to be whatever ingredient we found here, because orange juice could be used in like 3 different things. So the first copy is recipes where orange juice is the ingredient, and then the second copy is recipes using sunstone, where sunstone is whatever we just found in the product. I am sorry. Wait. Hold on. This is why it's very hard to talk. Recipes where sunshine is the product. Okay, ignore everything I just said. It's not, sunstone isn't important. I'm sorry. It's very difficult to talk like this. Like, not easy. Recipes where sunshine elixir is the product is the second thing that we care about, right? Because we went from orange juice. Orange juice is the thing we care about, and then we discovered a product of sunshine elixir. And now that we know about sunshine elixir, now we have to find all of the ingredients for sunshine elixir. Again, really, this is sunshine elixir _1, but yeah, okay. So this equal sign over here, it's called aliasing. I'm aliasing. I know it's like, this looks backwards, right? Normally you would be like, recipes where orange juice is the ingredient gets recipes would be like the variable assignment, but this isn't variable assignment, this is aliasing. So I'm saying I want recipes called recipes where orange juice is the ingredient, and then I also want another copy of recipes called recipes where sunshine elixir is the product. And sunshine elixir is being a variable standing in for whatever the product we actually found is. Okay. I have never in my life written table names that are this long. Okay. I just needed to make sure I did that right. All right. So let's put this on its own line. Okay. So these are the 2 copies, right? And the product, because the way that we're discovering recipes where sunshine elixir is the product is via having the same product as recipes where orange juice is the ingredient. Okay, so our join on is going to have the 2 products be the same. I want to just show you an error real quick. I'm going to like call this something incorrect. If you see this error, that means that one of your aliases in the join on is wrong. Maybe you have a typo. Maybe you forgot that you made an alias here. Like if I tried to write recipes here, like it should know what recipes is, right? It actually doesn't know what recipes is. Because I said a copy of recipes, but call it recipes where orange juice is the ingredient, and a copy of recipes, but call it recipes where sunshine elixir is the product. So it actually has no idea what recipes is, and when you're using aliases, you have to always use the aliases. So again, this is not quite the same as variable assignment in whatever programming language you're used to. We're literally, these are the only names that exist, okay? And then what if I just like wrote product here? This is another error that you will commonly run into, and so I just want to show you how to how to expect it and how to fix it. Column product in the field list is ambiguous, right? We have the recipes where sunshine elixir, recipes where orange juice is the ingredient is the copy that we discovered this via the orange juice ingredient, and this has its product of being sunshine elixir. So that's copy R1, and then we have copy R2 is all the data from this sunshine elixir page, and that also has a product, right? Because both of these have the product field. So the way that you resolve this ambiguous field name thing is to tell it specifically which table to pull the product from. And because we're joining on this recipes.product field, we can actually use either one here. Like you'll that is not these names are so long. Oh my god. Okay, so This is the same thing. Like, because we're joining on it, we can pick either one. It's the same thing. SQL isn't smart enough to know that it's the same thing, even though we're joining on it. So we do have to be explicit about which one we're getting for. I usually like to bring it from the one, because like this is remember, it's like a one to many relation. Uh, there's one sunshine elixir has many ingredients, and the first copy of this is where we found orange juice in one of the ingredients, and then the second copy is where we have the many different recipe row results. Personally, my convention is I prefer to pull from the copy where there's just one of it, preferably. So, unless it's actually non-unique. Okay, so I want to very quickly show another example of this where we actually have, because like orange juice is only built into one thing. So I want to do this like with crystal shard real quick. So let us copy all of this. And then I'm editing crystal shard here. And I'm hoping that I have, okay, I don't. So let me just make one more item page real quick. So crystal shard builds into reflective coat. So we're going to make a reflective coat page. I just don't like that I showed you an example that's like special cased where orange juice only builds into one thing. So now we're going to copy this, and then we're going to go paste, and then we're going to accurate data here. Like I can just make up values, but you know, we're gonna be accurate. Recipe part item equals crystal shard quantity equals 5, and then recipe part item equals mystic feather and quantity equals 3. Alright, so I didn't upload that. I thought I uploaded everything. Okay, reflective code. Let's save this. What? Wait. Reflective code.png. Why isn't it here? Purge cache. Purge cache. What did I do wrong? Someone tell me what I did wrong. Oh, I called it a coat. It's actually a cloak. Okay. Alright, reflective cloak. Okay, now I have the actual thing here. So, okay, cool. So now we're gonna look at this crystal shard thingy. Oh, this was like hard coded from orange juice. So, I'm gonna split this so that sourcer is over here. Remember, I don't have complete data on the wiki yet, so there's a couple products of crystal shard that are missing. Like I didn't actually make a page for what is this? Flame Heart Pendant. So not everything is here yet, but Crystal Amulet. So this is the Crystal Amulet, and it has 3 crystal shards. And then this is the Reflective Coat, and it has Crystal Shard and Mystic Feather. Let me go ahead and update this query so that I'm actually showing you the quantities. Do you guys want me to keep these very long table names? Like, is that helpful? Or would you rather have shorter table names? Like, would that make it easier to read? I'll do whatever you guys in the chat want about these like really long table names. I don't actually know if that's like if it's like, yeah, that's pretty helpful, or oh my god, I can't read anything. Why are there so many letters there? So someone tell me what to do. Not long enough. All right, someone other than Jared, tell me what to do. I'm yes, I'm not making this any longer. That's not happening. I'm like happy to keep it. I just don't actually know like what's most helpful. So I will do what you guys want. But let's go ahead and put a quantity. So I'm gonna like indent this grouping out a little bit. Normally in MediaWiki, this is like not allowed, but inside of a cargo query or inside of like a SQL query, you're allowed to have I think it's fine in the sense that they're descriptive table names. Well, okay, so to be clear, you would never, ever, ever make table names like this in production. Like these table names suck. They are they're so bad. You would call them R1 and R2. Like okay, you know what? Let's do this. Let's call this R1. We're gonna call this R1. Um, whoops. I was small. Okay, we're gonna call this R1. Um, and then we're gonna call this R many. Okay. So that's going to be our compromise is R1 and R many because the one there's one copy of this because we like for each row here, so like in the crystal amulet from 3 crystal shards, there's one copy of R1 here, and well, okay, there's only one ingredient, so there's only one copy of both of them, but in this one there's one copy of R1 and then there's many. Remember, again, anything more than one is many. Like, many means one or more. Actually, it means sometimes it means zero or more. We're a little imprecise here. So there's many copies of R many here, and each one of them is giving us one of these concatenations of quantity plus ingredient. And then the one copy is how we found out about it in the first place from the crystal shard being an ingredient of reflective cloak. Oh my god! Okay, there we go. Okay, so I'm gonna make this concat like a little bit fancier. So I'm gonna put like, oh my, uh, I'm gonna put an X here, and then I'm gonna put a space after that, and then I'm gonna put like, so I'm like technically putting more than I need to, but I'm just gonna make this be a link to the page. And then I'm also going to make this be a concat. Wait, what am I doing? What am I doing? What am I doing? This is gonna be a concat.
I think shorter table names are better as long as you properly document what you're trying to do with the tables, so that when people come along in the future and look at it, they'll be like, "Oh, I get why they what that table means, or what the data in that table has."
Let's find Mystic Feather. Um, Table names are just like any other kind of variable. Uh, you it takes practice. It takes a lot of practice to come up with a good name. Um, the goal is always to make your code as self-documenting as possible. But you know, self-documenting code is a little bit impossible. It's like a little bit of wishful thinking. So you know, you do your best. I didn't upload this either. God damn it.
I just think it's better to, when in doubt, include more documentation, because you'd rather be over documented than under documented when it comes to code.
What did I call it wrong here this time? Mystic Feather. Mystic Feather. Someone tell me what I called it wrong. Mystic Feather.png. MYSTIC. Oh, this is from the. God damn it. Okay, never mind. Mystic Feather is our example item on the Commons Wiki, and so Mystic Feather is on a shared repository, and that wasn't an already uploaded here error. That was a. Okay. You know, I knew that was gonna happen when I made this wiki, and I just forgot. Okay. So I have some mistake here. What mistake do I have here? Oh, because we're on the crystal shard page, so it's not looking at crystal shard. That's a self link. Okay. And I thought I did this equals. Oh, it's so hard to read anything. Okay. Okay. So yeah. So crystal shard is linking here, but since we're on the crystal shard page, it's a self link here. So those are all linking. So I
Is
added a little bit
there
more
a
formatting.
is there a reason why you're using the regular editor, not the code editor that has the syntax highlighting?
I detest the built-in syntax highlighter. I will never, ever touch that thing.
Fair enough.
Never. I hate it. I hate it so much. I hate the toolbar. I hate the built-in syntax highlighting. I hate when it gives me tab working, even though you would think I would want tab working. I don't use any of those tools. I if I want tools like that, then I'll go into Sublime Text Open because I thought I might do some editing in Sublime Text, but so far I haven't. But yeah, I want if I'm editing in the browser, I want a plain browser thing, and I will take as many mismatch brace mistakes as I have to not deal with that. I said that everything that I was doing was things that I recommend to everyone else. This is my personal preference, like not using the syntax highlighter or anything. That's my personal preference. I do not recommend that. You probably actually do want to use it, but as you've seen, probably like I navigate between tabs very, very quickly. I will like tab between things and press Alt Shift E, and then I'm just like pressing Alt Shift E, and then Control or not Alt open square bracket is like my between tabs. I use Alt close and open square bracket to go like between tabs like this. So I want to just be able to press hotkeys really quickly and press Alt Shift E really quickly, and then like so if you press like Alt open square bracket Alt Shift E tab, then you're in like the editing area. I want to be able to do that very, very quickly without any kind of delay or any kind of vertical jump of the content. If you don't care about that, like, I mean, it's like half a second of loading time for the code editor to load and the toolbar to load and stuff versus not having the advantages of any of those tools. So in this case, I don't actually necessarily recommend my convention or like my choice, my preference. But I don't use built-in tools. I use Sublime Text, so like this is where I've been writing Druid info boxes is like from this document here and then publishing to the support wiki. So yeah, that's pretty much just personal preference. So let's go ahead and make this a template because this is eventually going to be a template. So we're gonna call this builds into. Very, very imaginative name right here. And I don't have char inserts, so I'm just going to type this. And I'm not going to categorize it because I am lazy. And then I'm going to put this here. And we'll save the page. Okay, glorious. So I'm just going to, I also want to add an item name. Okay, so where's the items page? I want to go to items here. I want to add an image to that. So wait, why is that? Sunshine Elixir is missing some information. I didn't put the weight or element. Let's fix that. Sunshine Elixir is 5 and fire. Okay. Cool. Okay, so on the items page. Okay, so I want to. Okay, so this code here. I'm going to make a new template, which I'm going to call like cargo item flare. And then I'm going to be like this. And then I'm going to be like see if I did that right. Did not do that so right. Okay, I actually wasn't sure if that was gonna work, so let's wait, do I have that? Okay, so we'll do like I'm just like wanting to make okay. Yeah, cool. I put concat twice. That's probably why it's not working. I probably would have worked. Okay, well, whatever. And then we want to have not this, not that. I want to just have this. I want to have this and this. And then I want to have, and this is actually one. All right. So I think I did that right now. Okay, yeah. So I'll put this in include whatever. So what I want to do here is like this pattern of like concatenating all of that stuff with like LC and shit. Concatenating all of that together, like I want to do that in many places on the wiki, okay? And it's like a lot to type out, and I don't want to type it out more than one time. So what I just did was I like put all of this boilerplate code of how to like lowercase the input and then put it in a file and give it the right dimensions and stuff and then link to the file page afterwards. I just put that, I wrapped that entire thing in a template called cargo item flare. And then over here, I am sending the name parameter here to cargo item flare. And that's going to be, I'm using an ordered parameter, unnamed parameter. So that's just one here. So I have the escaped open brace, and then I have the pipe character here, and then I have the escaped two closed braces here. And then I'm still doing like the concat black magic to get the name here, but instead of writing out like all of the markup in line in the query there, I am abstracting that out into this template here. And then what I can do is when we have builds into, I can be like this. But this isn't name. This is our many dot ingredient. I think. Is that right? That's right. Okay. And then what I can do is on this crystal shard page, I just have like built into. And then we have this. Hooray! Hooray! Okay. So let's go ahead and like put this. Okay, so orange is a base ingredient. So for the base ingredient pages, I'm not going to be adding a built into template, but I'll go ahead and I really hope I didn't want anything from that page. I'll put this here. So we'll save orange juice. And you know what? I made this gorgeous category. I think I want to save this. Okay. So reflective cloak. Sunstone is base. Sunshine elixir. I already made. Mystic feather. Crystal. I think it's just these. I have some other items too, but I didn't make pages for everything yet. What? I didn't. Oh yeah. Wait. This is built into. What am I doing? Okay. Why didn't anyone correct me there? Oh my god. Okay, so Crystal Amulet doesn't build into anything. So what builds into stuff is Sunstone, Orange Juice, which I already did, Orange, Crystal Shard, and Mystic Feather. So these all have builds into. So Sunstone builds into a couple things. Again, remember this isn't the full game. I haven't added a page for every single item yet. This is already here, and then Mystic Feather builds into these things. And then I have these links here. So I'm going to do one other thing. So for this builds into, okay. I was going to like add a category here, like items that build into things or like recipe parts. I don't know. We could add like category recipe parts here or something, but I'm not gonna bother with that right now. Just keep in mind that like when you have queries like this,
What?
we want to find I'm going to increase the count by 1. And then, and actually in this case, I only want to know if it's 0 or not. So I could even just say like var like count items. I could just like put like haha an item exists. I don't care what the count is. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to be like if expression var count items or 0 is greater than 0, then I want to add category recipe ingredients. So this isn't something that I need to do here because I'm only including this template in the first place if it builds into something, but this is just like a common pattern that I want to demonstrate, so it's on the wiki now. So now if I edit Mystic Feather, I did something wrong. What did I do wrong? Did I save this? Oh, still did something wrong. Count items. Does anyone want to tell me what I did wrong? Okay, so if expression count items or 0 is greater than 0. And I am using cargo item flare here. If I just... Is this working? Oh, wait, you know what? I think I need to purge it to see the category. What? What did I do? What did I do? Did I mess up my braces here? Oh my god, I do this all the time. I write the comment to unincrement it, and then I like, I don't actually write the braces after the comment. It's like it's a really bad habit that I have, and I do it very frequently. Purge cache again. Okay, there we go. So recipe ingredients, and then we can make this be a category items. Okay. So what I just demonstrated here was in this template, this is a very, very powerful pattern that you're going to want to use a lot when you're working with cargo, is that you take some variable and you start it out at 0. Okay, so if count items is not defined, then it's going to be 0. And then every time we execute this template, we're going to increase it by 1. So the first time it goes from 0 to 1, and then after that it's already defined, so it'll go from 1 to 2, etc. And then we have it wrapped in this var defined here, and we remember to close our braces out here. And then after we have executed this as many times as the query ran, then we check if the count is greater than 0. So I'm going to put another like equivalent check here, but this version is like so this is going to be like the cached version of our count, and then this is going to be like how to count if you don't have another query already fetching these rows earlier on the page. And then so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do cargo query. And in this case, I only need one table. So I'm going to say recipes. And then I'm going to say fields equals, hold on, let me just give you, I'm like very lazy about putting things on one line when I write code for myself, but I want to make this legible. So fields is going to be count star count, and then okay, there's like we have to do no HTML. I think just saying no HTML is enough. And then we're gonna be like group by equals recipes dot product. We don't even have to group by. We just have to see if there's any result. So where equals recipes dot ingredient equals medium. Okay, so I think I'm actually like printing this right now because I want to make sure I'm doing it correctly. So this should display 1. All right, cool. So so the other thing we can do is we can be like, if expression this is greater than 0, then add the category here. So this is just like the other way to do it. Is I just wanted to show you like how to do this like count star. It's not going to actually change the display of anything on the page because again we were already doing it through that cached method. But this is like how you can count if you don't want to just if all you want to do is count. The reason that we do it this way is that every single cargo query is a little bit expensive. It does not increase the expensive parser functions count on the page, so you're not technically limited at 100 the way that you would be if you you're not limited to 100 the way you would be if it were actually incrementing the expensive function count, but you should pretend that it's expensive. You generally don't want to have more than about 10 to 15 queries on a page, like on an individual page. You know, some wikis do more than that, but I would say 10 to 15 is about the limit before you want to be like, am I really doing things correctly here? Could I be doing it more efficiently? Sometimes you have data in cargo where you need like 200 queries on a page, and you can use the extension Lua cache. That's like way out of the scope of this this video. I think I meant this to be an hour, and I think it's already been like 3 hours or something, so way out of scope. But you can use Lua cache to cache queries, but that adds like a bunch of complexity, and you know we can count it using the variables extension, and then we can cry when parse what happens when variables don't work anymore. But you know, for now it works. So yeah, so we can grab a count that way and then conditionally add a category. So there's one other thing that I wanted to talk about, which, okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a nice, fun little sandbox page where I'm going to be like user gold river / mystic feather test. Okay, so I'm making this user sandbox page and I'm testing my item info box. And surprise, it's not going to work because like there's no image here, and you know I didn't expect it to work. But you know, it's very common to want to make sandboxes like this, and I might want to leave this sandbox around for a really long time because this is where I'm like testing new stuff. Maybe I want to like try seeing like, okay, does it have support for name equals, can I be like name equals mystic feather? Is that going to do anything? Hint, it's not going to do anything. But you know, maybe I want to test it. Maybe this is just like my sandbox page where I just want to see is stuff working. So we have a problem right now, okay, which is that if I look at page values, this is storing 2 page values. That is not good. Because if we look at the items page, which I don't think I have open over here. I gotta go there. So if we look at the items page, that's not fantastic. This is not yay. That's not what we want. So I am going to show you how to do this safely. So we have this is our item info box template. So this is the page this is the template that we're calling here. Right, we have item info box. But the namespace is user. Uh-oh. Okay, so how do we deal with this? And it's not just that, but then we also this is in the items category. So if we go to the items category, then we have this user sandbox page. This is not good. This is very bad stuff happening. So here in the template is where we are doing the cargo store and where we're doing the items. So let me just add some comments here. And then I'm going to put this in the middle of the comments. And then I'm going to write conditionally add global data only if we are in the main namespace. Okay, so I'm going to say if namespace, do nothing otherwise. And if namespace, I remember to put the braces now. So I'm going to save this. And then what happens when we blank edit this page? Probably nothing because we need to purge it. It's no longer going in the category. There's no more category items here. And there's no page values here. So this is what we want. Let's verify over here that it's still working. So we're gonna blank edit and we're gonna purge cache. It's still in items here. And then if we go to the page values, we still have the data for orange here. So what do we do here? We wrote if namespace. Okay, so namespace is in the main namespace, it returns the empty string. In the user namespace, it returns user. So let me just write namespace here, and then you can see the result of that is user here. So if this is non-empty, we're going to do nothing. And then otherwise, we're going to take the actions that add the page to the category that adds the cargo store. And this is going to make you safe to do any kind of user sandbox testing that you want inside of your user namespace. Sometimes you might want to force you might want to force have this save if you write okay, maybe we want to actually test it, and so maybe we want to write cargo equals yes here. You can do a little bit more parser function magic here. I have an entire blog post about it, and I honestly don't remember off the top of my head how to do if you have the cargo variable here. But this entire article talks about how to defensively program this way so that you are properly avoiding storing stuff from the user namespace. I don't think I actually write that there, so yeah, I might do okay, offhand I'm actually not sure how I would do support for cargo equals yes without, because obviously we can duplicate this. We don't want to duplicate this. We could be if cargo, then we can do that. But yeah, I'll amend that blog post after the stream. I can't actually think about writing new code while I'm streaming like this. And I don't already have that example pre-made. But generally, you don't want to put cargo inside of the user namespace. So we will say successful example. We are not putting cargo inside of the user namespace. So, oh my god, deep breath. I think that's pretty much everything that I had planned that I wanted to talk about. So does anyone have any questions? Is there anything that you wanted me to go back over? I will at some point go through and finish creating a page for every single item here. So you will be able to here, let me actually put this on, the front page of this wiki. Yes, that looks right. So I think this looks more or less right. Yeah, so it'll be something like, well, okay, I don't want to write the whole thing out, but it'll be something like this. Okay, so I think we can actually probably, yeah, okay. So, yes, we can do like, okay, I think we can do switch. Um, we can say switch or cargo. Otherwise, if namespace, nothing. Otherwise, yes. Okay, so and or. So we can say like if this equals yes. And this should work. So if EQ this thing, yes. So let's just test that real quick. So we want to see is there still cargo here? Okay, so that's still working, and then is there still not cargo here? Yeah, okay, great. Thanks, Anthony. So, yeah, so basically as long as there's no namespace called yes, or actually no, that's fine. Yeah, so either we take the value of cargo here, and we say if either cargo or if namespace nothing otherwise yes. So in the main namespace we'll say yes. So we can write cargo equals yes in any namespace and enroll resolve to true. We can be in the main namespace and not put anything for cargo, and then that will be yes. And then we could also say cargo equals no somewhere in the in the main namespace, we would be able to write cargo equals no and have no cargo there. Okay, sorry, I was reading the question from Ada Reinen. Sorry, I don't know if I'm saying your name right. So Ada Reinen says, I was expecting something like load ID wait uploaded file.csv to say in pseudocode, I don't want to write wait equals file on each page. Okay, so a couple things about this. So first of all, you can automate the creation of wiki pages very easily using the MW client library. So if you have some game JSON data, you can like go through the JSON and then you can say like for like go through this key value set and then so for the first one, create a page. I guess I like my item names are literally all lowercase in this game and capitals do not exist because that's what I did. So my item pages are actually slightly wrong because everything should be lowercase. But so we can say make a page called orange and then put weight equals 5, element equals earth, and create that. And you can create that entire string of wiki text inside of your Python script, and then you can go through the JSON and save every single page that you've just stored. So that is probably the way that I would recommend to do it. If you have game data, like ideally, I really like to see the data being directly written to an info box and automate the creation of all of the pages with Python. So that is like my number one recommendation for not wanting to have to like write and create all of these pages individually. I don't think that I would successfully write that code if I tried to write on stream because it's like it's so hard to write code on stream, and I didn't like already plan to do that, so I would have to like it's not gonna happen. But I can create an example sample Python script for how I would automate creation of these pages, and then I can put it somewhere on the wiki, so that'll be there for reference. And if I do that, I'll link it from the sidebar or the front page or something, so it's very easy to see for anyone watching the VOD. And I'll ping you specifically when I do that. So then the second option is to do stuff in Lua. So, okay, I do not love the pattern of JSON data on the wiki, retrieve it in Lua, store it in cargo. Some wikis do that. You can do it. I don't love it because the caching updates on that are not fun. because you first have the data in your JSON file, and then you have to blank edit every single wiki page that's indexing into that JSON so that you refresh its cargo store, and then you have to go ahead and purge cache on everything that's using those queries afterwards. And technically it's no more API calls than if you were like directly editing the wiki from the pages themselves. But I feel like it's a lot harder to remember to do cache updates with blank editing than it is to remember to do your entire update. It's kind of hard to forget to do your update. So the state of the wiki, if you're using a Python script and saving everything directly to a wiki page, the state of your wiki is always going to be consistent because you're updating the stored values in real time as you add the data to the wiki. But if you do the Lua JSON thing, the state of your wiki is not consistent because you have that data in the JSON file in your module namespace, and then you're querying it from the wiki pages, and it looks like it should be working, but the values are going to disagree. Your cargo database is going to be out of sync with your JSON data. I don't like that. And it's impossible for someone to just look at the wiki and tell at a glance, that's out of date. It just looks like stuff is straight up not working. And for anyone who's like familiar with the system, you can know like, okay, I probably have to blank edit something. And you know, if you have a big enough wiki, enough people will be trained to say, oh my God, something's not working. Well, the first thing to do is to blank edit all of these things. And from experience, I can tell you people will learn that, but the question has to be asked still in the first place. Like, why isn't this working? It looks like it should be working. So all of that caching stuff is kind of a nightmare that I don't like to introduce, and I would much rather have consistent wiki state from saving the pages from Python to the wiki. If you want to avoid having anything done outside of the JSON file when you do data updates, then honestly, I'm gonna lightly discourage you from using cargo at all. And I'm gonna say probably what you should be doing then is the JSON data should be the source of truth. And anytime you want to do some kind of display, you index back into the JSON data, and then you have made the change to the JSON data. Everything is updated everywhere. All you have to do is purge cache to refresh the HTML cache of the pages that are displaying stuff, and you'll never have this inconsistent state in what data is stored on the back end. The disadvantage to that is that you no longer have the relational data store. There's a lot of times when the whole query where we wrote builds into, that's relying on the fact that we have this relational database, and we're able to do these joins across tables. And if you have JSON data, it's not an entire document DB. You don't have the option to, do a full join. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go over one more thing. Let's do a fun bonus extra. So okay, where's the page of build into data? No, I want to do like the crystal thingy. Where's the crystal thingy? Let's go to items. I want the crystal shard. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm going to add one more field to this table, and it's going to say the total weight of all ingredients. And this is going to be a little bit it's going to be a little extra, so I'm going to make a new template, and I'm going to call this like build into fancy. Builds into fancy. And I want to that's not the right template. Okay, so builds into, we're going to start out with this. We are gonna get rid of all of this stuff because that is not related to what we're doing here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is we want to know how much inventory space is required, or like how much weight capacity is required before we can realistically build one of these things. Okay, so if the crystal shard weighs 5 and the mystic feather weighs 3, then we're going to need 34, which is 25 plus 9. We're going to need to have 34 weight capacity before we can actually build a reflective cloak, because all of these things need to be in our inventory before we can build a single reflective cloak here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another table here. It's going to be called items, and then I'm going to call this, I'm just going to call it items. I'm going to call it items. And so then we're going to need to have another join on here. we're going to say our many dot ingredient equals items dot name. So because we want data about this ingredient here because we want to get the crystal shard weight and we want to get the mystic feather weight. So it's the our many dot ingredient grabbing the extra item's name here. Okay, and this is gonna be fun. I didn't plan to do this, so I'm gonna have to do a little bit of magic with like expression. So we're gonna do and then we're also gonna add another field here. So this is we have the product field here, and then we have the group concat field here, and then I'm gonna add another field at the end of this, which is gonna be called equals required capacity. So make another template. So I'm gonna do this is gonna be another group concat. Is it? Oh, let me think. Okay. Okay. This is gonna be another. This is gonna be a template called required capacity is what I'm gonna call it. I've actually never done this exact thing before, and so I'm like only 50% sure it's gonna work, but I think it'll work. Okay. So we have this cargo item flare thingy, and I'm gonna need to make this like very specific. So we're gonna make a new template here, and we're gonna call this item with weight calc. And then we're gonna put this here. I'm not gonna bother with this var_define because we're gonna need to have like a lot more var_defines. So instead of doing this, I'm gonna say item with weight calc. And I'm going to need to give it let's see. I just wanna like do a little bit more indenting to make this legible. So this is gonna be the many ingredient, and so then we're gonna need to do another thing here, and this is gonna say like quantity equals our many dot quantity. Okay, so our many dot quantity. So then we're gonna send the quantity to this, and then we're also going to send the weight equals, and then we're gonna send items dot weight, and that looks pretty correct. Okay, so okay, so what do we just do? So this is a copy of the item with flare so far. So we're gonna display the item with flare, and that's like the one unnamed parameter is gonna go there. And then what we have is the quantity and the weight are also going to be sent to this template. And remember, we're inside of a group concat, so this template is going to be called once for each item in the many list. So what we're going to do is we're going to say var_define, and we're going to end the var_define here. And I'm going to say like cumulative weight. I don't want to write that. I'm going to call it weight. I'll call it C weight for cumulative weight. And this is going to be defined as expression, and then we'll end the expression here. I'm using way more new lines than I normally do, but I just want it to be very easy to see. So then this is going to be end expression. Okay, so then this is going to be var C weight or 0 plus I can just do times there. So then this is going to be quantity times weight. And because of order of operations, it's going to multiply the quantity by the weight, and then it's going to add it to the cumulative weight. Okay. So C-weight is what I called it. And then I'm going to go and I'm going to make a template called required capacity. Oh, okay. Yeah, so I'm going to say like var C-weight, and then I'm going to var define this as 0 for the next row. Okay, let's see if that worked. Oh, this is built into advanced. Okay. Okay. That's probably correct. Let's so crystal shard is so 5 times 2, and then mystic feather is gonna have a weight. This is a weight of 3, so something's not right. So what are we doing wrong? So 5 of crystal shard. Well, so 3 of crystal shard is 6, so this is correct. And then it looks like it's not defining this back. Oh, you know what? You know what? You know what? I think I gotta put a pipe here. I think I have to do that. No, not that. Okay, why is this 19? So the required capacity, did I fair to find the right thing back? Is recent changes, builds, and oops, that's not what I want. I want required capacity. Oh, okay. There you go. I'm gonna need to purge cache. Ah, purge cache. What? Oh, I didn't. Okay, so yeah, so this is correct now. So we have 3 is the weight of all the mystic feathers, and the 10 comes from the 5 crystal shards with weight 2 equals 2 each. So okay, so what what did we just do? What just happened? Oh my god. So we did some stuff that is a little bit illegal, but you know, it's cool. That's good. That's good. Okay, so first of all, what is going on with this items thing that we just added here? Every time that we are displaying an ingredient here, I want to know not just what is its name and what's its quantity, but I also want to know what is that item's weight. And where can I find out the weight of the item? Well, from the items table, because remember that in our cargo tables, it's the items table that has the weight of an item in it. Okay, so you know, orange juice is 10, orange is 5, mystic feather is 1, etc. All of these things are known about in the items table. And specifically, they are not known about in the recipes table. And the recipes table has no idea what the weight of anything here is. So when I'm querying the recipes table, and remember I have these 2 copies of them, one to create each row and then one to create each item within the row, I'm not finding out anything about the weight from the recipes table. But what I do know is I know the name of the ingredient, okay? So I know that the ingredient is crystal shard, I know that the ingredient is mystic feather, and those are the same as the names of the items here, okay? Right, we have crystal shard, we have mystic feather. Over here we have orange juice, over here we have orange juice. So what we want to do is we want to say, okay, well, I know the weight here. Can we just like kind of substitute that in over here based on the name over here being the ingredient over here? And that is exactly what we're doing over here, because we have the R many. Remember, that's a recipes that is in the many relation to the original query, that there's 1 copy of each. So we have the R many dot ingredient, and so that's the ingredient here. And then we're going to tell SQL that's the same as items.name here. So we have this name field, and we're saying please keep these the same. Please substitute in the items information every time that we have one of these ingredients. So it's going to do that for us. It's going to give us items over here that we're not aliasing this table, right? Because we're just calling it items. There's only one copy of it. So it's going to say that, okay, so when you have rmany.ingredient, we're also going to have items.name, items.weight, and items.element will be attached to that rmany.ingredient every single time. So what do we do here? Remember, we're using this escaped wiki text syntax. So this is calling the template item with weight calc. This is a pipe character to give the first variable name, which is this unnamed parameter, which is the ingredient. And then we're going to give it two named parameters. One is the quantity and one is the weight. And the quantity is part of the recipe. There's no quantity here. The quantity comes from the recipes. So we have rmany.quantity, and then we're going to look at items.weight, and items.weight comes from this table. Recipes has no idea what it is, but we told Cargo over here, please give us the items data where the items.name is associated to the rmany.ingredient here. And so we're going to pull the weight into this parameter over here. So then what did we do with that? That's a good question. Where is that template? Built into fancy. Let's look at recent changes. So builds into fancy. Oh, that's not what I want. I want item with weight calc. Okay. So an item with weight calc, we're displaying this thing here. Okay, and this is the same thing as we displayed before. So we have like the lowercase, and we're doing the file name, and then we have the link to the file page, and then cweight is cumulative weight. I don't want to write long words, so I'm calling it cweight. So we are going to start with, if cweight is undefined, we're going to start with 0, okay, and then we're going to add to it the current quantity times the current weight, which is going to give us the total contribution of this, of the weight of this item in the number of times that it's required so the weight times the quantity. And then we're going to put that in an expression. So the cumulative weight so far plus the new weight of this thing. And then we're going to write over cweight, and then we're just going to save that here. We're not going to do anything with that display. And if we wanted to, we could be like var cweight, right? Like we could put this here, and then if we did that, you would be able to like see, right? Because here's the math is 6 coming from here, 10 coming from here, and then because it's the cumulative weight, this is, so by the time you get here, it's 13. But we don't want that, so we're not going to do that. But we could do that, and that's like a way to show our work. And if you want to debug something, like if you want to debug stuff, you just display everything everywhere. Like just keep displaying stuff. Break your entire UI so that you can get more data points on the screen at a time. This is bothering me. An extra new line there. So then when we get to the required capacity, in the required capacity template, we probably don't actually need that. Templates like render slightly differently if you don't give them any parameters. So I thought I had to give a parameter to fix the cache. But yeah, that wasn't the issue. So then we're gonna display the required capacity over here. And okay, so the thing about variables, I did not want that. I did not want that. Don't do that. So the thing about variables in MediaWiki is that variables are global objects, okay? So we can, and it's like very nifty, right, that we can like, cool, we can get the variable that we defined in this other template, we can get it over here, but it's gonna interfere with each other, right? Because the same variable that we used in this row is the same variable that we're using in this row, is the same variable we're using in this row, etc. So when we print the cumulative weight, we also have to reset it to 0 so that for the next row, it's reinitialized like that. It is not great to have global variables like this. Generally, when you're writing code, you want to keep everything scoped and localized. That's what like code blocks are for. That's why you always say local in Lua. You never say like my var gets 5. You say local my var gets 5 when you're creating a variable. One of the reasons people don't love the variables extension is that you have these global variables all over the place, and if you don't namespace them, they can pollute other places where you're doing arithmetic on the same variable. So you got to be really careful about resetting everything to 0 when you're done. But aside from that fact where we're like taking care of the variable being reused over here and redefining it to 0, all we have to do is display the thing that we just computed over here. So this is a little bit black magic. It's a little bit like hand wavy. Oh my god, what just happened? Like, this is crazy. This is illegal. This shouldn't happen. But the important thing that I want you to get out of this is that we can do this other join here so that we have a copy of items where we're fetching information about the ingredient and then we're doing cool stuff with it. Okay, so that's really the power of the relational database. It's not this first join, that would be easy enough to mock from a JSON file, but the second join where we then put the data from the item back into the relation for the ingredient. And we can just do these associations where we take large swaths of one table and then substitute them into another table using a join. That's really the magic of relational databases. So why did I go on this whole extra bonus section? Because if you're using JSON data with Lua, you won't get that power to do joins and to do relational queries like this. And sometimes you really, really, really want that because relational logic is very powerful and SQL queries can be extremely powerful. You can do a lot of very cool things. You can make interactive stuff. If you use page forms run query, you can make very, very cool data reports and stuff. But it requires this data to be in this relational structure that Cargo gives you. And you will not get that if you're using raw JSON. You're going to have to do everything for yourself, and it's going to end up having messier logic. All this grossness with the syntax aside, this was a very easy thing to just kind of add this one thing here and then this one extra join condition here, and then everything is just where we want it. We have the weight associated to the quantity and the name here. And if you're using raw JSON data, you're going to have to do more work in some cases to fetch your data from the JSON. So what do you use the Python editing a bunch of pages to create cargo data, or do you use the JSON processing in Lua method? That depends. A lot of the answer is going to be, do you want to have this relational functionality when you're running queries? So that's really what I wanted to say with this entire aside was relational algebra is very powerful, and sometimes that's really what you want, and you really, really care to have cargo instead of JSON data. If you're not doing a lot of queries like this, if your queries are very simple, then just leave it in the JSON. Just write everything. I'm going to say just write everything in Lua. Of course, that requires you to learn Lua. And I think at some future date, I'll do some kind of Lua tutorial. I'm not. Maybe I'll redo this wiki, but using a JSON from Lua from my JSON game data or something. We'll see. But that's really the question. So from do you need the cargo data? And then the other question is which would you rather do? Would you rather write a Python script to update your wiki, or would you rather have the nightmarish caching? Because neither of them is a fantastic scenario. But you might find it easier to update a single JSON file rather than to have to have a Python script that's running every single time to update your entire wiki. So that was a lot. So Ada, did I answer your question about how to not have to hard code 5 by hand a bunch of times? Does anyone else have any other questions? Is there anything you were hoping I was going to cover that I have not yet covered that you want me to talk about? I was actually planning to ask you about auto-populating info boxes / tables from game files / stored code during onboarding before seeing that you happen to be streaming. Would it be appropriate to discuss in the onboarding server at some point? Oh, absolutely. Yeah, go ahead and ask me in the onboarding server. I would say if you, I don't know what wiki you're from. So if you're from a wiki where you don't want it to be public that you're forking it, then ask me in the onboarding server. Otherwise, I would say ask in automation because that kind of discussion can get pretty interesting. And I think it's the kind of thing that a lot of people might want to read, even if I'm not answering their question. And like people from other wikis can learn a bunch from me answering your question to you. So I would say I'd prefer to do it in a public channel because then more people can benefit from the discussion. But if you'd rather do it in private, that's totally cool too. This kind of data organization stuff, like this is what I edit wikis for. Like it's very interesting. Every wiki is unique. A lot of it depends on like what you and your editors are good at, because like you guys are part of your wiki's tech stack, and I think that's a really important thing to keep in mind at every fork in the road when you have a decision to make. Is like not only what is the best thing for the software tech stack, but what's the best thing for the entire community, because the wiki, if you were just going to have the optimal tech stack and then pre-create an entire information site, you would never use MediaWiki for that. You would build your own custom thing and you would just like have it read from some database that you have on the back end, and you would never have to worry about cargo, you never have to worry about caching, you never have to worry about user contributions or anything. The reason you're using MediaWiki is because you want the community to be part of your tech stack. And so you need to keep that entire ecosystem into account when you make a decision about how to populate data onto your wiki. So any other questions? Is there anything that like I went too fast over, or like you want to look at an older revision of some template that we looked at? I tried to like explain literally everything that I did, but I'm sure that there's a couple things that I just like forgot because there's a lot going on. But my hope is that I explained enough things in close enough detail that people can use this to make cargo on your own wikis. So I will wait. I'll give it another minute to see if anyone has any questions, and if not, then I think this is a good ending point. And if you're like unsure, like if you're like, oh, I have this question, but I don't want to waste your time, I don't know if I should ask it, please ask it now, because I want to have this be as good a video as possible that's super useful to people in the future. I am not recording it. Jared is recording it. So, I have no idea where it's going to be posted after this, but he will make an announcement or something. It will be on the wiki.gg YouTube channel. Was the first event recorded? Yes, the first event was recorded. I wasn't there. I was in Ohio for a couple weeks. I saw the eclipse. It was very cool. So I am waiting for a couple people to be typing. No, you're not obligated to have questions. It's fine. You can go back and watch the first part when it's on YouTube. And also, like, I'm in the WikiGG Discord server. Feel free to ask me questions at any time. The cargo channel is like basically my DMs. I will respond to every message in the cargo channel. So any any question that you have about cargo, feel free to ask it there, and I will answer you as soon as I see it. Okay, that sounds like I think we're pretty much out of questions. So thanks everyone who attended in person, even if you were only here part of the time, even if you left after 5 minutes and can no longer hear me. Thanks for taking the time to learn about a really useful and very powerful extension that, it has a learning curve. So thanks for caring enough to try and surmount that mountain of learning cargo. And like I said, if you have any questions, please ask in the cargo channel. If you are like wondering about something while you're setting up your wiki and you don't ask, and then like 2 years later you're like, oh my god, everything's a mess and I have no idea what to do. It's like way harder to help 2 years into the project than right at the beginning of the project. So always err on the side of like asking soon and asking like preemptively if there's something that you're not sure about, because it's very easy to change your table structure on day one and a lot harder to do it on day 700. So yeah, thanks for hanging around. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being interested in cargo. Thanks for being interested in WikiGG. And I hope to see you around. Okay, you can end the recording now.